Aloha, Flow Riders, and welcome to another edition of The Flow. It is going to be a good one today. I am Doc Rock. How are you doing? What is your name?
How are you doing? What is your name? Hi, everyone. I'm Katie. I'm the organized one. I'm officially the host. This is my co-host, Doc.
I'm telling you, my brain is like completely broken today. Anyway, we are going to talk today about doing some AI, I guess, production for your podcast. There's so many things out there, and we recently did a challenge, and I think Capsho has been, for me, this. Wow, it's still. I'm still in the strategy. I'm still doing the whole Katie Brinkley 4-post strategy move, whatever. So it has been fantastic to me. So yeah, we wanted to talk about that and then give you some other ideas on what you can do to AI your production. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
that's the best. Exactly. Is going to work today.
And if you're brand new, either brand new to Ecamm or brand new to us, and you're like, what is Capsho? CAPSHO. Paul will drop a link into the comment. We also have links in the show notes in the description. But Capsho is, as Doc just said, an AI tool, and it helps both on the idea generating, like SEO copy side of things, as well as the promotional, best in class kind of getting it out there across the interwebs side. So it really has two different sides to it, and you can take a little bit from column A, take a little bit from column B. You can do just column A and only column B. So there's a lot of different options in it. So I think it's great that we're doing this and talking through some of the details on what we do. May not be the same as what you want to do, but lots of opportunities there to be able to get your content out there and get your content out in the best possible way.
Yeah, it has been a game changer. So a couple of the things that, when people say, well, what should we be doing to use, how would you best use AI for a podcast? And you nailed a couple off the top of the head. Idea generation is probably the best one. Hands down, is probably the best one. One that I've been doing recently is taking transcripts and having the transcripts turn into ways to better hone the brand voice for the AI. And I, strangely enough, kind of got this idea from Capsho because what happens, like in a podcast like ours, where we have two completely different voices, but yet we have an overarching brand voice, right? Yep. I'm able to take a show where I can pull out the transcript of what I'm saying, and it knows the transcript of what you're saying, and then say, okay, although the two hosts have different personalities, there's an overarching style, tone, and brand voice for the flow as the flow. Exactly. When you generate information, I need you to generate information using the brand voice, not specifically Doc, not specifically Katie. And it knows how to do that. That is phenomenal. And Capsho was the first thing that I used that gave me that idea that could actually happen. Because I've done it before for my personal content. Like, I've really honed my voice with ChatGPT. I very rarely get hallucinations. Yeah, when it makes up stuff, that word, hallucinations. Yeah, hallucinations. That's not even a thing. No. Yeah, I rarely, if ever, get hallucinations anymore, and that's because if you happen, I think this is only for pro. I'm not sure. I haven't used regular ChatGPT in over a year, so most of the things I'm speaking of from the pro standpoint. In order to see if it works without pro, basically means you pay them like $20 a month. You have to just check. Honestly, I can't tell you anymore. It's been way too long. It's that valuable to me. It's worth the $20, but it has a feature that is known as memory. Okay. So you just mentioned pulling itineraries for your trips, right? Right before in the pre-show. You can say, hey, my next trip is going to be going to the Maldives. And so if I mention my trip or talk about that, this is what I'm talking about. And it'll go memory updated. And so when you say, hey, I'm looking for some good places to get seafood on my trip, You don't even have to say in Maldives. You just say on my trip, and it knows. So it will give you the answers specifically to that. At some point in time, if you wanted to forget that because something changes, because we're human and life changes, you can just tell it to update the memory, or you can go in there and manually adjust the memory. So mine does not give me Game Changer and Unleash and all the other hyperbolics, because I told it never speak to me in hyperbolics. I will cut you. It doesn't do it anymore. So yeah, it's really interesting the type of stuff that you can do nowadays. So yeah, what do you have anything on Capsho that just stands out to you specifically before we kind of like dive in and show them some of the stuff that it can do?
Yeah, so I guess I wanted to just talk big picture, because I know that this is a tool kind of similar to Ecamm, actually, where it does a lot of things. And I think when you're new to it, or you kind of just hear about it in passing, or even if you're like just, playing around with it in those kind of initial phases, you might miss some of the opportunities that exist for podcasters. So here, allow me to walk through some of the different options that are available to you using a tool like Capsho. So again, I split them up into sort of like the planning, column A planning and like ideation side of things column, and then column B, which is all that post-production stuff. That's that Katie Brinkley's 4-post strategy that Doc was talking about. That's all on the promotional side. So if we think about it from a planning perspective, so whether or not you do your show like we're doing here, or you batch record, or you have a recording process that is not live streamed, doesn't matter. You can still use this tool to help you make sure that you get the best possible titles and descriptions, and that the content that you're sharing and creating is actually matching what you're saying. So you could do this in a couple of different ways. The first is, once you're done recording your video or your audio, you drop that into Capsho. There's going to be a bunch of different prompts. We'll show you in a little bit here how it works, but there's going to be a bunch of different prompts. It's going to ask you to enter all that information. Like Doc was saying earlier, you're going to want to put in like your host or your co-host, like the personas that you've built out in Capsho, so that it's remembering what voice to be asking this in. But so it'll take your entire episode and it will tell you what the episode is about, and not just what the episode is about, but what are the actual, like what the episode is about, and ranked in what are the most engaging, interesting parts of that episode that you should be thinking about, doubling down on, promoting, etc. Right? And so then you can take that information and you could expand on the episode with it. You could focus that on your promotional side, or if you, instead of uploading the episode itself, you just do a video brain dump where you say, hey, Doc and I are going to do this episode upcoming on Tuesday, September 3rd. We're going to be talking all about Capsho and AI, and we want to highlight XYZ different things. And you just record like a raw video file where you talk through what you want the episode to be about, upload that into Capsho, and Capsho will say, hey, these are the points that actually are most, enticing, interesting, etc. And here's what you should call that episode. Here's what you should put as the description, etc. So it's great if you can upload your episode and fit that into your workflow. It's actually even better if you can record your episode ideas as part of your planning process, because then it's going to give you even better content. And you might find in talking through that what AI thinks is the most valuable part of that content isn't what you were actually going to talk about. So that, I think, is the big learning that on the planning side that I don't think people see as immediately in Capsho, but has become huge for us at Ecamm, for podcasts, for any kind of video content, is really just kind of helping it on the planning and ideas standpoint, because you have probably an outline, hopefully, for each episode that you're working on. But talking it through is helpful for you. It's helpful to practice, and it also helps make the best possible SEO rating. So I would say that in the column A side, it's hugely helpful from that perspective. And again, you could use a different tool if you want to, but this one does a really nice job of it as far as kind of the A to Z.
Yeah, what's funny is you mentioned something that I have been doing for quite a long time, using various tools. But it's something about the way Capsho is formulated, because it is expecting you to do something extremely content creator oriented. So the underlying technology has been programmed specifically for podcasters, YouTubers, people that are facilitating sort of webinars and things like that. So I've for a long time have been using something called Audio Pen, which basically allows you to just do a verbal brain dump, and it will formulate that back into something that makes sense. So the idea of recording an audio and telling your AI program to pull something intelligent out of out of something audio based is actually very simple. So you can just use the now strangely enough, I have of course I have iOS 18 on here. So even with my iPhone now, I can record the voice recorder and just spew. Just spew the thoughts that are in my head. It doesn't matter if you make a mistake. You're not recording a speech. You're giving a free-flowing idea session as if you were having an idea session with your friend. Now, check this out. You can actually go into Ecamm, log up the Zoom, call your friend, have an idea session with your friend, and take that MP3 from that and throw that at Capsho or throw that at ChatGPT. ChatGPT is a little bit, it's a little weird with MP3 still. So it's better if you transcribe it first, which actually Zoom does for you automatically, by the way. But you take the transcript and you throw that and say, pull me some ideas out of this. Right. So you can take that MP3, though, and feed it to Capsho, and Capsho would definitely be able to do something. So even if you are still having a hard time ideating to yourself, which you really need to get over, you could just call a friend and record that phone call and then use that as the MP3 for Capsho to pull out ideas from. So just don't feel verklempt in any way, shape, or form, because there is a solution for every one of your weird idiosyncratic behaviors.
Yeah. And and again, there's two sides to this coin, and either really works. So, you could do, I think the slightly better option is what we just said, to do it as kind of a, you're not going to keep that file ideation, brain dump, run of stream of consciousness kind of video or audio content. But if that's not you, or you're not quite in that space yet, or you just haven't built that into your workflow yet from a time perspective, whatever, fine. Take the final, raw pre-edited video file or audio file for your show and drop that in, because you are going to find almost immediately that what Capsho is showing you as the most engaging bits of content, the most engaging themes, what they recommend as a title and description is going to be really different than what you thought, because it's smarter than you and it's looking across at what has the highest potential to get you that reach. And the difference is staggering. Doc did a great example of this during that challenge where he went live with a video training content. He actually put no title or description in, which totally freaked out Paul. He put no title or very little, a template kind of simple description we're going to change later, and then drop that file, into Capsho, and the recommendation for title and description, and again, what those key points are. It was awesome. So I think even getting in the habit that way, even if it means you have to go back and update your title and description or your show notes or, whatever it is on whatever platform, is still better than not doing any of that at all. Because again, you may think that the most, impactful part of your episode is, this thing. And in reality, it's actually this other side. And again, it might give you ideas for further episodes or deeper dives or any of that in between. So worth doing, and super easy. And again, the favorite part, and we'll show you this, is that Capsho will automatically, it forces you to choose your persona and to kind of build out and give you that information. And then once that video is processing, it will pop up and say, hey, seems to me that you were talking about these 6 things in this video, and like we'll give you kind of the topics of the video and it ranks them. So like some are green, some are yellow, some are red, like in how engaging, how popular they are. And it forces you to say like, which of these do you think, human, is the most like is the one that you were trying to convey, is the one that like is the one that you want to focus this video on? And then it uses your answer there to populate the promotional copy and the social posts later. So you could look through and say, oh, well, yeah, Doc and I were talking about AI in this episode, but actually, like, you're right. It was this, you know, smaller kind of part of AI that we really dived into. Let's do that as a topic. And then that's what all of the promotional posts and the content will be about. So I think it's nice that it does go above and beyond ChatGPT, which, you know, expects you to be a little bit more proficient in AI, whereas this one really says like, hey, you need to follow these steps, you need to make these updates, you need to make these decisions so that you get the best possible content, which I think is important for all of us.
Here, I want to, Luis, if you could possibly bring up the screen share real quick. I want to show an idea what I'm talking about, and I want to clarify something real quick. So again, whenever I'm speaking about ChatGPT, I've only used Pro for almost 2 years now, right? Like when it first came Pro, I went Pro, and so I really don't have any idea what the regular one does. I'm not even going to pretend. That being said, even with Pro, ChatGPT doesn't quite understand MP3s directly yet. They're still a little weird. So what I do is transcribe those first. There's 75 ways to get a transcript. The easiest to me is Alphonic does it, but I also have a program on my computer called Mac Whisper, which I think I talked about somewhere on one of my shows. I talked about Mac Whisper. And again, even that program is super cheap. I think it's like free to use if you want to support the developer because it's just a single person developer. It was like $20, whatever. Mac Whisper was totally worth it. But there's 1,000 ways to get a transcript. I'm going to show you the easiest way right now. So if you notice here on the latest episode of The Flow, there'll be a new one today, by the way. But all I did is once it made the MP3 file, it automatically generated the transcript and it gave it to me in SRT format. It gave it to me in a VTT format, which is the YouTube way. And then it also even gave me an HTML version. So I could take this is already transcribed, but I could just pull the MP3 from here and good to go. If you're using ChatGPT or one of the other services that does not fully understand MP3s too well, you would probably use the SRT or the VTT, and it would be able to figure this out. So in Claude, recently, I'll show you one I did a while ago. I was talking about how I'm crafting a brand voice. I've done this in ChatGPT using the GPT format, which allows you to build an app that basically you don't have to tell it the same thing over and over again. I wanted to see using the new Claude projects. So if I scroll up here a little bit earlier, here are the transcripts that I gave it. I say, here's 3 episodes, right? And I even tested it using the text file. This one was an SRT. This one was a VTT. I changed them to text because it didn't understand what to do with SRT or VTT. This is a weird thing about computer formats. You can change the last 3 letters and it just is what it is. So theoretically, SRT is a text file and theoretically VTT is a text file. But for YouTube's purposes and for things that use SRT, it's looking for the SRT because it just tells it what to do as opposed to when it sees TXT. Claude, not that smart, so I had to just rename it to TXT. And then fine. So I gave it those, and then I even gave it the HTML version. And I said, using these transcripts where Mary Lou is speaker 1, I'm speaker 0, and I am speaker 1, generate this brand voice, and it was able to generate the brand voice. So to the question that came up in the chat about using ChatGPT for MP3 analysis, it's a little weird. Just do the transcript and then it will understand exactly what to do. So to Katie's example of what I did, this was the episode. I recorded an Ecamm walkthrough to people that were brand new to Ecamm during the Ecamm challenge. And then I sent it the file. The first thing it did was generated a title and description because it's assuming that this is a podcast. So the title it came up with is Elevate Your Content Game, Ecamm Tricks and Techniques Revealed. Of course, I would never use that title. It's a little too wishy-washy for me, but you could just go in here and just type this, right? Let's see, for us, we prefer level up. This is more of our thing, what we say, level up your content game. And then I would spell Ecamm correctly because it's just that simple. And then I would use ampersand because it's less formal.
Get started.
Yeah, I was going to do that. There you go. Bam. So now we're good to go. I've already edited that. So different from many of the other ones, when you get your output, you have to put it into some editor and then edit. This actually, I can edit here directly into the program. So
and it learns from this too. So yeah, it's
right.
good to drop
so
to make those changes.
How you know this came from the video, it says, imagine being whisked away into a world of video creation becomes effortless, right? In here, it starts to say some things that I said. But, I get into the magic doesn't stop here. Ecamm understands the importance of efficiency, which is why there's a wealth of features designed to supercharge your productivity. I think when people ask me all the time, what makes us stand apart from some of the other apps that do similar to what we do, we've actually added some things for you to take the next steps. Most of the other apps don't have that. That's something that's unique to Ecamm. So it even understood that from the demonstration that I did. And so it's able to give me this, but this is just a generic title and description if I were posting this as a podcast. So if I step back and then I look in here and it says, well, what's a good YouTube title and description? I generated two, right? So if I click this, here's a similar thing. And then it even gives what your key takeaways are going to be, streamline your workflow, craft visually stunning scenes, professional grade graphics, integrate your screen share. Of course, we always teach that in the demo. Leverage advanced features like countdown timers and sound effects, which we talk about in the demo, and optimize your live stream for maximum engagement and interaction. So that's one of the key features of Ecamm is by using the chat and things like that, you're going to level up. People who have just regular streaming software that doesn't allow them to put, their questions in that on the screen, it's just not the same, right? So anybody who's using Ecamm, you guys already know this, but it was able to take that from what I did, and I used this as a YouTube description. You could even go in, and I had it make an additional, right? And then so it's very similar, slightly worded differently. But let me show you what it would be like to generate a brand new asset. So I could just click here and say, here's a brand new asset. From here, ooh, there's a lead magnet for a checklist. That's new. Sorry, squirrel. Let's say I wanted to create some social media posts for Instagram, and then I want to create some social media posts for Facebook. All I have to do is click that because the basic information of what this post is about has already been given. And what makes this stand apart, and I wish it would let you click here to see what it was when we did this, but it posits some questions about what is the call to action that you're looking to get out of this? And what is the context of that call to action? It will even tell you based off of your transcript, here are several topics. This topic gets a 61 score in SEO. So if you use this topic, it's probably your best look, even though that might not have been what you thought you were talking about. Your transcript begs to differ because we've all done that. We've all started a video and then started changing the conversation part of the way through. So in the middle of changing that part of the way through, it would go ahead and give you that. So let's give you guys a quick look at what happened with the Facebook post as I put this in here. So there is something known as an awareness post. There is something known as a tip post, and there's something known as a community post. And that is part of the 4-post strategy when it comes to posting for your social media. The last one being an action post. So in this particular strategy, after you recorded your podcast, you're not just posting, hey, come look at my podcast. That doesn't tend to work, right? So in the fact that the way that happens and the way that if you just put, hey, come and look at this post, let me make this make English sense. That doesn't tend to work, especially on a different platform when you're sending them, say, back to YouTube, because the person came to Facebook to do Facebook things. So if you tell them something that's just about picking up off of Facebook and going where you want them to go, that doesn't always translate. And this is where most people struggle. Most people struggle by going to Facebook or IG and trying to tell people to leave Facebook or IG to go to YouTube. And the person's like, no, fam, I came here. My intention today on Facebook was to stalk my ex or catch up with that friend in high school, the friend of me. I want to see that they're failing worse than I type of situation. So you're not ready to leave yet. So what this thing does is allows you to have them interact with you on the platform that they're on versus leave. Okay. So let me take a look at this Facebook awareness post. If I click here, it says, these are some of the awareness things that you could generate. Streamline your live stream workflow. Actually limits creativity and spontaneity. Do you agree or disagree? So you've seen these things on Facebook, right? Where you ask a question that you don't really need to know the answer to, but you know you're going to start a conversation or a fight or a kerfuffle. Right? That's what this kind of post is. Taking screenshots during the live stream for thumbnails is the waste of time. Pre-made graphics is always better. I would actually post that because I think the people that do the screen captures just out of that's just lazy. As a thumbnail god, that's lazy. Don't do that. But you know, if that's what you're going to do, knock yourself out. It's my opinion. That's lazy. But you see, this is a good post for me because it will trigger some feels in the conversation. All right. So I'm gonna copy that because I might use that today. All right. Countdown timers and screens and live streams are unnecessary. Distract from the content. Boom. That's another one I would absolutely use because you guys know how I feel about countdown timers. Burnt-in tools and streaming software encourages laziness and prevent creators from developing essential technical skills. You know, this thing must have read my transcript, right? There's certain things. What this is talking about, they just formulated the question wrong. I would fix this. But this was a point where I was talking about doing the unnecessary pop-ups from Stream Elements or Streamlabs can be distracting depending on the type of content. It was designed for gamers. Totally makes sense in that format. But when you're talking about something serious, maybe you're doing brief counseling, you don't want the Mikey just subscribe popping up in the middle of your feed. So there's that. And then a more streamlined workflow becomes the less authentic and relatable your content appears to viewers. This is also miscalculation based off of when your video looks too pure on Instagram, people think that it's an ad. So you would just readjust that, but you can... You will see how to adjust it. Anyway, that's what what those strategies look like. And then here is one that's about doing a tip post. So if we click that, it will go in and it gives you basically some tips for using Ecamm. You show in the background option, you know, if you want your elements to appear across all of the screens, you know, but this is a whole post. You just basically edit this, pick it up, post it. And then you're just adding extra engagement around that video, of course, which will get people to want to get nosy and they will want to go see the real video. But standing on the corner and saying, hey, Facebook, stop what you're doing. It's important to me that you get up and walk over to my platform and watch what I want you to see. It's not the same vibe. You're not helping them where they stand, so to speak, right? Community posts, it doesn't write this one for you, but it gives you some ideas, which I think is very cool. It's allowing you to still be you and your voice. It's allowing you to speak so that you generate the thing, because it won't understand your community. It won't know who Paul and Gretchen and Janet and Ernesto, like Roy, it won't know who these people are. So you want to use it in a voice that your community understands, but here's some ideas of things that you can post for your community. So that's that one. And then the last one would be the action post, right? And so it tells you to create some content with Ecamm Live doesn't have to be complicated. In fact, it's downright fun. Just wrapped up a live demo. So now you're giving them that call to action, right? Now you're telling them why it's worth their time to go see this post. and in this particular case, a YouTube video, why it's worth their time to go see this and interact with it and engage with it and learn something. It's a little bit different from new post. I just posted a video on YouTube. Go watch it now. Like that old technique just doesn't really flow. And this has been proven strategy from Katie Brinkley, and she has lots of content that you can see. Has a whole book about it. But ever since I have been using this, I will tell you, it's really good. So, of course, some people are going to ask, can you do most of this in ChatGPT? Probably. You're going to have to generate those prompts, though. And if you don't have those skills and capabilities, it's not going to be the same. It's not. Like, to come up with those is not going to be the same. And the other, what did I want to show you while I'm here? I did want to say, so ChatGPT, you can do some things like that. And like I was saying to Matt, you can click on here, you can upload a transcript from your computer and have it generate. But even once I were to grab the transcript, if I see one, here's one right here. And then let me grab, can I do two? Yeah, I'll grab these three. So I'll grab those and then say open. It's going to upload those files. Okay, so now the file is uploaded. What's the prompt? I know the prompt. I'm pretty sick with prompts, but what's the prompt if you don't know how to prompt? You see what I mean? So this is where the tools that have already figured this stuff out is kind of handy. You see what I'm saying? Like, you wouldn't necessarily know what prompts to have it do in order to pull this out, right? So you could probably try something like generate me a FAQ based off of these transcripts. And again, if you have a free program, you won't be able to put up as many files, right? Like if you have a pro program, you have more space of things that you can upload. But if you have the standard one, again, it's not going to have the same level of output because this prompt isn't really tweaked. The other thing is my ChatGPT is heavily dialed in with my persona. So yeah, it doesn't even know how to read this web VTT files, right? So yeah, it's not even able to do it. But again, all I really need to do is change that VTT to a TXT file and it would work. But it's just to give you some ideas of what it could basically pull out, you know? Yeah. So to me, Capsho is just a better look. It's a lot simpler. It will give you all the things you need. And it's a good way for you to go in and do some marketing based off of that. Some other honorable mentions inside this, of course, would be Claude. When it comes to just raw generation, Claude actually does a better job. And they both have pretty decent free programs, but of course the paid programs are better. Gemini, which I completely forgot to bring up, Gemini also is pretty rad. Gemini is built off of Google. So if you need to pull information from the web, Gemini is pretty much the best because it's the web, it's Google. And again, I have Gemini Advanced because I have Google One. So I really don't remember what the free ones do. I'm not saying that to be weird. I'm all in on AI. So I have pro versions of all of the above, including Pro Perplexity, which I'll show you an example of Perplexity. Like I posited the question, what's the best dynamic microphone under $500? This one you can toggle Pro on and off. So I'm going to copy this real quick so I can show you the difference. And I'll just hit that and I'll let that run. And then I'll do another Perplexity. And then this time I'll flick the Pro on and you'll get an example of like what are the primary differences. I'll put these two tabs next to each other. So it'll go in and tells you what to look for: frequency response, polar pattern, durability, low noise handling. That's good for most of us. Presence boost, so your voice sounds like this. and ability to handle sound pressure levels without distorting. These are all good. And it goes through, of course, it gives you the God, the SM58, but it goes down and it shows you some of the other things that are available. There's the pod mic, which we're all familiar with. This I actually have on the floor next to my leg. It's there. And if I go over to the Pro version, it formulates it a little bit different. One thing that's cool about Perplexity is it gives you the sources as to where it pulled all this stuff from. So when it comes to research for doing your page, it will do a good job of giving you these researches. And you can convert this into sort of a printed document, which you can use as a backfill to your show. So that's another tool that's kind of sort of handy in there. But honestly, Capsho is the move. Capsho is absolutely the move. All right, let's go back to regular screen there, Luis. So what I want to do is just tell you first and foremost is just when it comes to marketing your show or, well, to say pre-production in general, when it comes to pre-production in general, post-production in general, the idea is not to rely, of course, we all heard this before, it just goes worth reiterating. You don't want to rely 100% on the AI, but it can help you go a long way. Again, idea generation, perfect. Planning phase, perfect. Taking all of your nebulous thoughts and getting them close enough that you can pull something good out of, it really, really shines there. So that's why I've been using the audio pen forever. But now I have Claude, which is a recording device that does this. It's going to be built into iPhone probably early October. I have the iOS 18 here. You can legit just fire up Apple Notes and have a recorded conversation and have it be able to pull something out of it. It's kind of sort of incredible what it can do. So using the, again, audio to transcript to have your LLM work on that for you, or some of the programs will actually read straight up the MP3. ChatGPT is just not very good at MP3s. So to me, all of these guys are really, really good. They're all sample to use. Most of you would do better at recording an audio or video file to yourself. And I tell you all the time, in Flow, you've always heard me say, if you want to get good on camera, just get good to talking to your camera. So taking this and leaning it up against the wall and doing a quick ideation, and then having it take that ideation and turn it into something that you can use, phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. You would be absolutely surprised at what it's able to pull out. I kind of almost want to show you, but it might break something, but let's just try anyway. But I'm going to give Luis a clean out, and then I will do the demo. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, Luis will be able to cut it off for the podcast. How about that? All right, so here's what we're going to do. Just a quick reminder that this is how to use AI program like Capsho to enhance your podcast for pre-production, for post-production, for idea generation, and for marketing your podcast. It can generate Facebook posts, Instagram posts, blog posts, and now something I just noticed it can do, it can generate newsletters. So these are all the myriad things you can do with Capsho. To find out more, check the description below. We will put the link to Capsho right there at the bottom. And if you are an Ecamm subscriber, we have some Secret Squirrel discounts to Capsho. So make sure you reach out to us with that, and we'll see if we can get you hooked up. Just send it to flow@ecamm.com. That's FLOW@ecamm.com, and we should get you started there. Now, if you want to leave some feedback about this particular episode, make sure you go over and you check out flow.ecamm.com. That's FLOW.ECAMM.com. And then that's where you would get to our site. It will allow you to subscribe, please. It will allow you to leave us feedback, please. And you can even ask questions. We have a voicemail box where you can leave us questions there, and that's at flow.ecamm.com. This has been brought to you by Captivate. Captivate FM is where we host this show. It is the best host in the game when it comes to growing a podcast. It starts with the growth potential in mind. So absolutely go over to Captivate FM. Again, link will be down in the description. And that has been another episode of The Flow. We hope to see you here again next Tuesday for another sick recording of The Flow. And Flow Riders out. Chee-hoo!